In 2016, a reboot to the iconic Doom franchise was released, a title that many barely knew about on release that still sold like hotcakes and got awards faster than I get filled full of bullet holes in online first-person shooters, winning both Best Action Game and Best Soundtrack at the Game Awards. And with Doom Eternal coming out in November, I thought I should review Doom 2016 before it becomes as outdated as every other game I've ever reviewed. Starting with graphics, as is standard for these videos, Doom 2016 makes every other game that came out in 2016 look as outdated as my fashion sense, thanks in no small part to the brand new at the time id Tech 6 engine, an engine that is extremely well optimised for basically any hardware you could run it on, and even manages to look awesome on consoles, including the Nintendo Switch. Which is honestly amazing, as the Nintendo Switch has about as much power as last generation's school-provided laptops running on ultra-power saving mode with the processor removed. Spoiler alert, I'm about to spoil the nigh non-existent narrative of Doom 2016, though if there were much less to spoil I'd spend longer on this warning than the actual spoilers. The story goes that you're a mythical demon-annihilating badass known as the Doomslayer, who is so powerful that even the quote-unquote gods of hell can't even scratch his armor, according to the lore. Though, depending on what difficulty you're playing on, in gameplay this either translates to having armor made out of titanium or literal fucking butter. The lore behind your mystically badass protagonist is that he once led a team of indestructible guards, but his son died, so he then made a deal with the demons for his son back because that is most definitely a good plan, and sold out the source of the guards' power in exchange for his son back, winning the war for the demons, that then betrayed him because demons, and he decided they all need to die like any rational person would. So then an angel decided to buff him up while he was killing them, and his rampage eventually leads him to casually waltz into a trap, painting the walls with demon blood on the way in and get himself knocked out and put into a magical holdy-downy sarcophagus. The obvious anger issue translates brilliantly into the first 30 seconds of gameplay, which involves you waking up as the oversized stone coffin is opened. You then see a demon whose head you smash into pulp on the side of said stone coffin. You then stand up, shoot a couple more demons with a pistol you find on the floor, and casually walk through into a room with a computer, where a guy called Samuel Hayden tries to get into contact. Though, like the player, the Doomslayer gives absolutely no shits for the story and smashes the screen instead of listening to Sammy Haybale's story spiel. After this, as far as the Slayer is concerned, words and diplomacy don't matter, and a heavy metal boot or a 12-gauge shotgun shell backed up with some guitar riffs can solve just about any problem you might happen to come across in your merry hop, skip and a jump across hell, leading you through many zones and boss fights that are pretty unique compared to other games. The story of the game itself goes along with you chasing down the most standard video game bad guy stereotype, a mad scientist, except this time, it's a girl. You chase her across the Mars base, and most of hell itself, shutting portals and killing your way through the armies of hell as you go. Then you catch up to her as she turns into the Spider Mastermind, and get a pretty fun boss fight right before the game ends. All the while, Sammy Haybale is spewing exposition and bullshit into your helmet in the brief intermissions between explosions, guitarists, and the sounds of fireballs bouncing off your erect bulletproof nipples, as the escapist would say. Finally reaching the gameplay, Doom's gameplay is the video game equivalent of being a Terminator that goes back in time. It's awesome. You've got a health pool that is either deeper than the Pacific fucking Ocean or shallower than r/nice girls, with nightmare difficulty giving you the ability to die in just about 2 hits from just about any enemy in the game, including most kinds of possessed and even the unwilling. But, to make sure you don't die quite so often, you get an arsenal of immense proportions, ranging from a pistol with the damage capacity of a wet pool noodle to a railgun that can pulverize even the strongest of non-boss demons in just 2 hits, given you put the right mods on it. Oh, and that's before I mention the mobility to outrun most supercars with about as much effort as you or I would put into watching television. Among these weapons are the standard lineup of Doom classics. The shotgun, the super shotgun, the chain gun, and the rocket launcher, along with many others. There is also the glorious return of the legendary chainsaw, which is now used to get you extra ammo, because of course demons are full of extra bullets. There is also the new glory kill mechanic, which once you damage an enemy enough, they will flash orange and allow you to get close for a quick melee takedown animation that is more brutal than anything Brutal Doom could throw at you. Oh, and then there's the Berserker power-up, which sets the glory kills into overdrive and is much more brutal than any horror movie could ever dream of being. The gameplay is awesome for quite a few reasons, one of which being its simplicity. There are a lot of simple elements, such as the great core gunplay and high-speed mobility, ripped right from some of the simplest days of the first-person shooter genre. But on the other hand, the synergy between demons and the level designs represent much more complex elements of the newest Doom game. On the topic of the more complex parts of the gameplay, there are multiple upgrades and upgrade paths, all of which are actually very useful. Every so often in a level you will find an upgrade for your weapon, which gives it a new secondary fire such as the grenade module for the combat shotgun, or a lock-on 3-round burst for your rocket launcher, which is the only time I've ever actually found a burst fire mode useful, as even an incompetent oaf such as myself can make good use of it. You also have special tokens to make these secondary fires more powerful, not to mention Praetor tokens for upgrading your arm with new abilities such as explosive barrel resistance, and runes which give some nice utilities. Doom also has some of the best boss fights in all of video games. All of them are unique and have interesting attacks and mechanics that honestly make me wonder why no other video game can get boss fights anything close to right. Every single boss fight is awesome and the deaths never feel unfair. You always dodged wrong or you did something to cause your own death. It's not random bullshit grenade spam like you'll find in Call of Duty. A final especially nice thing about Doom 2016 that is unlike most games is that it has about as many cutscenes as Doom 1993, effectively none, at least compared to the likes of Call of Cutscene Watching Duty or Battle of the Story Cutscene Field. Multiplayer-wise, Doom's wasn't developed in-house, and so isn't quite as great as it could have been. You could say it was just a little doomed from the start. The multiplayer isn't bad and certainly stands up to games such as Call of Duty and Battlefield, and remains defined with unique mechanics comparatively, such as the demonic possession mechanic. The snap map, on the other hand, is Doom 2016's most unique feature, in that it is its own self-contained, object-oriented programming language built within Doom. It's great fun to play around with and allows you to create basically anything you want, from a full-on fucking MOBA to Call of Duty Zombies being remade in Doom. And the best part about doing this review is that I finally get to talk about audio being awesome and not astoundingly awful. Doom's soundtrack is honestly amazing, made by the legendary Mick Gordon, a guy who looks like he belongs on the cover art of a metal album and who manages to use a pitch-shifted chainsaw as part of Doom's music. You heard me right, a clip of chainsaw noise is part of Doom's music. How much more metal can you possibly get? This is even more metal when you consider just how awesome the weapons sound in Doom, including a chainsaw. The demons also sound amazing with their screams of fear and later pain once you riddle them with enough bullet holes to make Swiss cheese jealous. Glitches wise, there is literally nothing wrong with Doom, and I never ran into any bugs or issues at all, so it gets a flying pass with colours flying higher than an astronaut having sex while on LSD. Finally, to come to a conclusion, Doom 2016 is more than worth its current Steam price of about £11, as it's a truly awesome game and most definitely a faithful update of the original Doom games. The gameplay is good, the soundtrack is good, and the game is very well made. So please, go buy the game and go support the developers at id Software. Right after you like this video, comment and subscribe, because I have been your host, Vert343, and I am signing off. Peace out, gentlemen.